This segment is sponsored by Travis W. Watkins, tax resolution and accounting firm. We are back with another Tax Tip Tuesday with Travis W. Watkins, tax resolution and accounting firm. Now, last time we talked about some old wives' tales that add to the IRS's bad boy reputation. And today we're going to do a little bit more and put Oklahoma tax lawyer Travis Watkins on the spot again and ask him some of the most frequently asked questions that people have about the IRS. I know last week we didn't get to talk too much about it, and we will in a few seconds here about bankruptcy. But before we do that, let's talk about our home. We're always afraid that if the IRS comes through, they could take our home. Is it true that the IRS won't settle tax bills if you own your own home? Is that true?
Not completely true.
Okay.
No, the IRS may cut a tax bill if they see that, for instance, you don't have enough money to pay them over the course of time that they have to collect it. And they're going to consider things like your income. They will also look at assets, including homes, and that is something that they can look at. However, if you have like a mortgage and no equity really to speak of in your home, then obviously there's nothing for them to get in that situation. They can't jump ahead of your mortgage company, for instance, if you have a mortgage. So sure, they're going to look at that entire picture, and if it looks to them like they're not going to be able to collect the tax bill over the course of time they have to collect it, which is 10 years actually, then they are going to cut a deal with you whether you own your own home or you don't.
Okay, so it's something obviously you shouldn't go in thinking that. Obviously, kind of look at all the realm of where you're at. All right, last time we talked about bankruptcy. Taxes are not dischargeable in bankruptcy. Is that true or not?
Well, it's true in most circumstances. However, there is a little loophole there for taxes that are personal taxes, 1040 taxes, in other words, not business taxes, and they will allow bankruptcies on those that are at least 3 years old, and the tax year is at least 3 years past.
Okay.
That you've had your return on file. That's a big part of it too. You have to have a return on file for at least 2 years, and they say the tax assessed for 240 days. That just kind of rides along with it. So if those three things are met, then you may be able to discharge some personal tax debt in a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. That's the only type, the liquidation type bankruptcy.
All right, that's money you wouldn't have to worry about otherwise.
Right.
All right, let's talk about your home again. The IRS can't take my home because of the Oklahoma Homestead exemption.
Boy, I hear that one all the time. I do. And what they're talking about here is there are certain laws here in the state of Oklahoma that keep creditors, general type creditors, away from seizing your homestead, your residence. Now, that state law is, like I said, a state law. Federal agencies such as the IRS, that federal law there is going to trump, federal tax law is going to trump, or preempt is a big fancy legal word for it,
right,
the state law, and unfortunately that means that no state homestead exemption is going to protect your home from seizure if they get to that point in the collection process.
Okay, so keep that in mind. That word federal is the big, pretty much catalyst, is that if it's going to be able to take your home or not when it comes to that, not the state. All right. A lot of times, and I wonder about this one too, a lot of people, how they're necessarily thinking about this, but they say, look, I don't have enough money to pay for my taxes, so I shouldn't have to file. I mean, have you heard that?
I do hear that quite a bit. And I mean, it kind of makes logical sense, you know.
Why
they're
would
come
I
after,
want?
yeah, they're going to come after me if I file a return. You know, and there is some truth, I guess, to that myth. But here's the thing: the IRS can come after you for willful failure to file a return, and that's a big one. You don't ever want anything like that coming down on you. It is a misdemeanor, and so the best thing to do is to, of course, file. But the IRS also has a lot of programs that you can seek out here, and it's best to seek one out with the help of a local licensed attorney that can also help you out if you can't pay that tax bill. Things like offers and compromise that we've talked about on here before, even installment agreements, sometimes partial pay installment agreements where you may not have to pay the entire amount that they're saying that you owe here. But I do say it's always best to go ahead and file. There are major penalties for you if you don't file, including the failure to file penalty, which adds up really, really fast. So go ahead and get the return at least on file, and then seek out something with the IRS through the help of a local attorney to get the tax bill paid.
Okay, and this is beyond just filing an extension, I'm assuming, to sue,
Yeah.
right? I mean, at least getting some kind of plan together. And I imagine due diligence, they look at that as well. They're saying, hey, look, he's trying, he doesn't have the money, but they want to work. You want to work with him.
Yeah.
And they don't have to do any more work.
And past compliance, too, I should say,
Oh,
is
okay.
also a very important part of that. If you haven't been in a payment plan before, if you're not racking up years and years,
see.
that also helps. But certainly, at least getting these things on file so that at least that failure to file penalty is out of the way.
Well, I knew you had all the answers there, Travis. Indeed you did. Travis W. Watkins Tax Resolution and Accounting Firm. They're at 3033 Northwest 63rd Street. They're at Suite 200E. Their phone number is 405-607-1192. You can call them toll free at 800-721-7054. Find him online at traviswatkins.com.